like this.
Go.
IB Film Show, take one.
Thank you everybody, and thank you as always to our viewing audience at home. Welcome to another edition of the IB Film Show. I, as always, am your host, Mr. Shotwell, and joining me in the studio today is DJG Productions to present their latest film, Compliments. And immediately to my left is the picture's editor, James Sullivan IV.
Thank you.
Immediately to his left, the picture's director, Gavin Miceli. And sitting at the end of our table today, the picture's cinematographer and one of the actors in the film, Drew Bella. Thank you for joining me, guys. Welcome back.
Thank you for having us.
Always a pleasure to have you guys in the studio. So before we watch the film today, as always, I have you here, so I figured this presents an opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about your specific contributions to the film and your thoughts about it now that it's complete. And I want to go down the line, starting with James. So, James, throughout the film, I know you handled the editing and the bulk of the post-production responsibilities on this. Throughout the film, we see multiple crosscuts back and forth between Drew's character and Gavin's character. As the editor, can you talk a little bit about the purpose and meaning behind that cross-cutting and what you believe it adds to the film?
Yeah, so I think that, like, with the crosscuts, I believe that they really keep the time continuous, and I think that it shows both moments in time really well.
Yeah.
From Gavin's perspective and Drew's perspective, and it really shows the two different lifestyles that they live and the ways they go about their morning routines, as you can see in the film. When it comes to adding to the film, I believe it really adds a lot more character and a lot more. It emphasizes how these two go about their lives, really.
Well, and I think in addition to the movement of time, it invites a comparison to some extent between these two guys, right?
I think throughout the film, the audience can really understand what kind of people they are, outside of not just the film itself, but when they're out with others.
That's interesting. And as we grow to understand them, again, we bounce back and forth. We compare them, or at least compare our judgments about them, which you guys then sort of subvert at the end of the film. Neat. Yeah, it was a very interesting way of building the story, this sort of two simultaneous narratives. Very cool. Gavin, the director of the film, and I have a somewhat general question for you. In your opinion, what makes this film different from the ones that you've worked on or maybe even directed in the past?
First of all, it was a 7-minute film, and so it was much longer than any other film that we've done. And I think we also took it a lot more seriously because it's our last film that we'll be doing. So we definitely put more effort into it and took continuity and details very seriously.
Cool. Terrific. I think in a lot of ways it shows that effort that you guys put into this in the final product. Drew, cinematographer, but you also acted in the film and you were involved in a lot of different components of the film's production and post-production. And I know you were intimately involved the whole time. So I wanted to ask you from your perspective, what was the most significant obstacle that you believe you guys faced during the making of this film? And how did either you specifically or you guys as a team address that obstacle?
Yeah, so there were a lot of obstacles, but I'd say the most difficult one was building up the characters and how they're shown to the audience. So there's two characters, there's me and Gavin, and we want to let the audience know that Gavin is disorganized while I'm organized. So this doesn't really fit with my role as cinematographer, but I used a lot of mise en scène to show what they're like. So for my room, I had everything neat. I made sure the bookshelf, all the books were aligned, my bed was made, and I guess some things were plain. I remember in one of the first shots I have an album cover, and the album cover is white.
Yeah.
Just to show blank, neat, clean.
Oh, that's an interesting detail.
But for Gavin's room, well, we kind of just trashed his
Tossed
room.
everything
We
around,
took
cleaned it.
everything.
I thought you were
could,
going to say
threw
just
it
left
around.
it in the condition that he ordinarily has.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot easier to actually create Gavin's room because
Okay.
you just gotta let yourself go, really. You really just gotta let yourself
Yeah.
go. Really, just do like.
I'm sure it was a lot more fun to kind of put that together. too,
Yeah,
than
yeah,
it was
yeah.
on set.
Dumped
Well,
out my laundry basket.
And I think you guys did, in a wordless film, which until the very end this is, you were so reliant on mise en scène to do that characterization and also to support that comparison that the film sort of depends upon. No, it's terrific. The locations, the subtle details. I wasn't even aware of the album cover. That's a terrific thing to point out. All right, so before we dive into it, this being the last film, as Gavin brought up, that you guys will do as IB Film students, I like to always give filmmakers an opportunity to reflect here on, well, let me ask it in the form of a question. What type of filmmaker would you consider yourself to be at this point in your career, and how do you think that is reflected in the film we're about to watch?
So personally, I think that when it came to especially this film and previous films we've created, I think that I really look ahead towards what we can do in post. So whenever I learned about it last year, Match on Action was a big part of my film career. I really think that I used it effectively, especially in this film and in previous films, and I think I really emphasized that, especially as an editor, looking back and wanting to match things up and create a very simultaneous and continuous flow.
Yeah, so a planner. I think that's a wonderful trait, especially for an editor to have. Gavin?
I'm definitely a simple guy when it comes to these films. I try to keep it, like real, not, all crazy like all these other films, but definitely just simple,
Okay, minimalist in a sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Drew?
I guess similar to James, I like to plan things out. I liked like helping create the idea of this film we just did, and just making like a story and how things are set up. I'm not a great editor, but for someone that can do it for me, I like to set up shots in order. I'm just not very good with computers and stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I think too thematically, each of the things that you guys express are kind of reflected in what this film is about too. This sort of, it is in a lot of ways a film that's about like the collision of order and chaos, but done in a very simple package, like a clearly planned and sort of minimalism being one of the things that makes this film so strong. All right, so on that note, I guess we should check it out. So without any further ado, let me make sure I don't get the order wrong. DJG, Productions' latest film, Compliments. We hope you enjoy.
Shit.
All right, look, I'm going to give these tests back now. For the most part, I'm pretty disappointed in you guys. With a couple of exceptions, this really was a pretty embarrassing showing. So go over this tonight. Great job.
So how'd you do?
Pretty good, yeah.
I did not do good on the steps.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to you again, gentlemen, and thank you, as always, to our viewing audience at home. This has been another edition of the IB Film Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time, everybody.